you rhymes with stew and that Jim rhymes with Jim. It's called a homonym. So I'll tell you a quick story. This is funny, man. We do the Jim boat. We haven't done it in a while. Thanks, COVID. Thanks, Wuhan Lab. Um, and we did the it was like Jim boat 4 or 5, and we take everybody on a really cool shore excursion. And on this particular one, Susan will remember this. It was a lot of fun. We took a catamaran I forget the island, but we went around. We took the catamaran um, to a volcano. It wasn't real active. It was kind of active, active enough to make you wonder, should we really be going to the volcano?
Could see lava.
And it was steaming, so I don't know. But then it was kind of like, okay, well, we saw the sort of active volcano. It's kind of like, seeing a really old ex-athlete who's mostly drunk in a bar. I mean, you can see the the glory maybe, but nothing's really happening. So then we're and then we go and hang out at the beach at a cove and stuff. That was a lot of fun. But when we went to the shore excursion, we went for them to pick us up. On a cruise where there's somebody holding the paddle, they look of questionable sobriety and stuff, and they're holding up the paddle, and on it says the Jim boat, but they had spelled it GYM. So somebody's holding up a sign that said the Jim boat. And I was like, oh, look, a homonym. Anyway, not the best story. My stories are becoming old man stories.
Well, I will tell you, appropriately titled this one is, we're going to talk about stories today. And what's the most profitable story you can tell?
The story that helps you make a sale. That's the most profitable story. The right story in the right context, at the right length, phrased the right way for the right audience to get them to take the action that you want them to take.
And how do we do that, Jim?
Well, it's interesting you should ask, Stu. I have some thoughts on this. But first, I have a story about a story.
Okay, cool.
Okay, the first most profitable story I ever told on the internet was when I converted my 40-page sales letter over from being a 40-page website over to being a one-page sales letter. And in this case, I was selling my book, How to Sell Your House Yourself, Selling Your Home Alone. And the person who I heard teach the basic framework for the sales letter said, you need to tell a story. And I didn't have the money to buy his program to find out what kind of story I should tell. So I thought to myself, what kind of story should I tell? And myself said, well, tell the story of how you were able to do what they want to do. In other words, how you were able to sell your house in 30 days without an agent. But actually, my story was kind of cooler when I looked at it. Sorry, I'm picking up all these old relics of my past life. And tell the story of how you were able to sell 2 houses yourself in 30 days without an agent. So I just told the story. And my sales, that combined with using a one-page sales letter, my sales literally went up 250% overnight. And that story launched an empire. Well, not maybe not an empire, but a nice protectorate that has influenced a lot of people and hopefully has made a big difference in the world. So, that one story, and then the story of that story has been told, how I came up with the story. And so again, is there one particular story that you can tell? And really, the most profitable story, like I said, was the right story at the right time for the right audience in the right context and the right length. So the right amount of detail. And there are 2 main types of stories that you can tell, which we will get into in a minute. And we'll also demonstrate a couple of genies to help you be able to tell those stories. But Stu, tell me a quick story about how you became a Navy SEAL.
I got a better one for you, Jim.
No. Nope. I want to hear a quick story about specifically your fitness journey to becoming a Navy SEAL.
Well, that is a long story, but can I make can I make
Condense it down a little bit.
condense it down? Hmm.
I'll even give you the point of high drama to start with.
Okay.
Okay. I was a first year cadet at the Naval Academy and just failed my first PT test. Take it from there, Stu. How
Yes.
do you make it through buds and do it in under a minute?
Well, I figured out after listening to some good upper class coaching who said I need to focus on my pace. And I focused on my pace. I learned my pace. The next test I took, I actually aced it. And from there, it was a series of failures throughout that first year of didn't make the football team, girlfriend breaks up with you, your um, grades are bad, right? Everything was not going well for me. And then went home Thanksgiving crying to my mom. My mom says, "Won't you just come home and quit?" And I said, "I can't quit." And she goes, "Then quit crying. Let's figure this out and get you on the right track." So that was kind of my hero's journey, so to speak. And from there, I actually turned it around to a point where, I didn't play football, but I focused on other sports and met some good mentors who wanted to be Marines and SEALs, and I just hung out with them. And next thing I know, iron sharpens iron, and I became a little tougher and built my way up to become a pretty good spec ops candidate.
Okay. Then and he's being now Stu loves to minimize. You're not giving away trade secrets when you say instead of playing football, I played rugby, which is a sport men play without pads. Um, Though I will say that in San Francisco in 1973, I was witness to a world record, the world's first bottomless rugby game played in uh, Golden Gate Park. It was certified.
Huh.
Announcer, everything. Very strange, but I did see it. Can't unsee it. Was riding by on my bike. Is what it is. Anyway, little
Bottomless, you
useless
mean
tribute. But yeah, but dude,
short,
just stop there, Mister.
shortless?
All the Johnsons playing together. Okay, just
Oh my
leave it.
God.
Yeah,
That's
that's what,
disgusting.
dude. I'm just saying. Some stories land, some don't.
That one did not land.
Okay, some even miss the
It,
launch pad.
it actually did land. It landed in my head, and now I can't unsee it.
Your imagination's probably worse than reality. They had long
Yes.
shirts. Anyway,
Okay.
um, my point is that you made a decision to go to the Naval
Naval Academy.
Academy.
Yep.
Thought you had it under control. Things went from bad to worse until there was a decision made. You took action, got focused, found something to do instead, and you found mentors. Interesting. And then you toughened up. And because of this, you actually got here and realized you could do a lot more. And that way, instead of just being an officer in the Navy, you decided, you know what? Maybe I'm good enough and go become a SEAL. Because I don't think you went to the Naval Academy intending to become a SEAL.
No. I wanted to be like Top Gun.
And what you realize, I saw that picture of you in the flight suit with the Ray Bans on.
Living
But
life.
then here, and this is the truth. Then you realized that the key to this whole thing was mindset and fitness were the keys to doing this and other tactical professions. And you made it your life's mission to reach back in time and help the kids. Like, look, he's even got the Stu haircut right there. You
Mm.
see that? He's got that little Stu flip. And you reach back in time and made it your life mission to help these kids understand the mindset and fitness journey to be able to avoid all this stuff and to be able to serve. Is that the story?
That is the story.
Okay. But
That
see
is
how
the
we
story.
began with that point of high drama of I failed my first PT test. Because then they'll be like, oh, that dude was just like me. He's not some superhero like Stu Smith. Stu Smith, the last
Yeah.
character in the Avengers, you know?
Well, it's
So,
funny because I was going to tell a similar story.
okay.
Because every summer I get to work out with 2,500 high school kids
Hmm.
in three 850 person groups,
Hmm.
and so I tell that story, when I'm doing workouts with them, and just about the sit ups, and the teaching the technique of sit ups. And that one hits because I know it saves people on their next fitness test because I've gotten their feedback from it. So yeah. Anyway, it's just I was going to tell a different one, but you just made that story a lot better than I did. So
No,
I like it.
it's the thing is, here's the thing you need to understand. You can tell as long as you understand the pattern of telling a story, you can tell the story any way you want. You can give it any context you want. When you're telling that story to those kids, you tell them, hey, look, I've been teaching this for 25 years. That means whatever 25 times 800. Okay, here, let's break this out because
25 times
25
2,500.
times 25 times 2,500, 62,500 kids. Okay, that's more than the entire population of Annapolis, Maryland,
Yeah.
over the years. Okay, and I've learned three things. Before I teach you those three things, let me tell you a quick story about Stu being right where you are. First year in the Naval Academy, failed my PT test, getting crappy grades. Girlfriend broke up with me. I had to make a decision, and the decision was, you know what? I'm not going to let this beat me. And it started with fitness and mindset, just like we're doing right here. This is the start of your journey. That's pretty cool. So you can then incorporate that into that. You could take all those tools and all
I
those
like it.
different, take all those different elements and weave them in once you understand how to assemble the story.
I love it.
Anyway, this is what kind of story is this, Stu?
The hero's journey
The
story.
hero's journey.
Which
Absolutely.
there's a genie for that.
There is a journey for that. Um, Now, there's another kind of story that you can tell, Stu. Do you know what that is?
Um.
It's any story that's not a hero's journey story. That's what this
Okay.
other
Oh,
kind of
okay.
story is. Okay. I call those the 6C story, Genie.
Oh, yes. I have that
Okay.
written down right here too. Dang it.
Okay. And basically, what this is it's a way to tell a story to teach any moral that you want to teach. Okay. So tell me a story, Stu, about when you published your first ebook and what people could learn from that experience.
Yeah, I had been doing online coaching for about 2 years. And
Hmm.
in that journey of, I created this database of people that helped, or I was able to help people get through FBI Academy, Naval Academy, Plebe Summer, uh, Navy SEAL fitness, Navy SEAL training, Ranger training. So had a wide variety of people that I was coaching.
Uh-huh.
And I soon realized that I had this database of programs that helped this guy become an FBI agent, helped this guy become an Army Ranger. And I was
Uh-huh.
like, you know what? I think this would make a really good ebook. So I created ebooks, and I decided I was going to diversify my fitness testing teaching to specific tests and goals. And I did my
Hmm.
research, and I found that there's over 35 different fitness tests just within the United States alone.
How many?
35
Oh, wow.
different fitness tests. And I created individual ebooks for all of them. And been doing it ever since. Been keeping updates on those ever since. And I walk up the stairs after selling my first ebook, and I say, "Hey, I just sold an ebook," and it was like 8 o'clock in the morning, and I did it overnight, and I was like, "Man, I just made money while I was sleeping." And that was quite the epiphany because worked really hard to make that happen every night ever since. That was 2003.
Okay. And what's the big lesson somebody could take away from that?
Um, I would say everything you do, write down, because you will have a history of your actions that got you to where you are today. Anything that you're coaching, make sure you have it, written down somewhere, whether it's a formula or it's a workout or it's a coaching class, whatever that is, PowerPoints, those can come back to help you create generic programs for whatever you're teaching in a easy to consume method, such as a downloadable ebook.
Okay. So here are the 6 C's. It's characters, context, conflict, climax, closure, and conclusions. Okay. So characters, Stu in his basement. All right. Context, had been teaching online for a couple of years, was tired of trading time for money. Said, hey, you know what? There are 35 different PT tests out there. What if I've been helping people get results. What if I came up with a specific ebook to target each one of these PT tests? Now, obviously, you didn't do them all at once.
No, but I had a mission. I had a mission after that. Yeah.
There you go. Okay. Conflict usually creates a mission. If you're pissed, hurt, mad, upset, usually it's one of those motivating
Yep.
love, I'll never be hungry again. Climax, sold an ebook. Dude, I remember the first ebook I ever sold. I remember exactly where I was sitting. I was sitting in my trailer, man, and I sold an ebook for 29 bucks. And I called up and I was like, "Oh dear God, how am I going to process this order?" And I called up my aunt at the craft mall and I said, "Hey, can you process these for me?" And she said, "Sure." So she processed it and I sent the guy the Word doc with it and I made 30 bucks, man. Now that was back when minimum wage was $5 an hour.
Yeah.
So, and I was doing some minimum wage stuff. Closure. Okay. I'm just going to go sell more. More. Let me go sell more. You just what you said. Let me see how many of these I can do. So when I wake up in the morning, there's money waiting for me.
Yep.
And then the big conclusion, document your processes, any kind of result you know how to get people, whether it's solving a problem or satisfying a desire, you can turn that into a downloadable product that you could then sell. Now,
Yeah.
it's sort of an origin story, but it's not. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end, but it's not, it's more for a lesson rather than lessons learned, rather than a transformation, which is what the hero's journey story is all about. Because if all your stories are origin stories, that stuff gets old. It's like, here we go,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Yep.
now the other thing that you can do with this to understand is that this is like an accordion, meaning that our little character here can make this thing go as wide or as narrow as he wants to. I can make that story as wide or as short as I want to. I'll do the same kind of story. I was sitting in my trailer and realized that I wasn't going to get my book published, but I could probably sell it online. So I did a little bit of research. I figured out how to set up a sales letter. The problem was I didn't have any way or set up a website. The problem is I didn't have a way to process my credit cards. So I did whatever I could. I talked to my aunt. She said, yeah, I'll process them for you. And so I sold my first book. And I said, if I can sell one, I can put a zero on the end of that and a zero on the end of that and a zero on the end of that. And within a relatively short period of time, I was able to start making enough money to make a house payment, 2 car payments, and an electric bill, all from selling downloadable files. What's the big lesson? Don't let anything get in your way. And if you know how to solve a problem or satisfy a desire, you have a potential topic for an ebook. So that took like 2 minutes.
Nice. What year was that?
1997.
Woo. Yeah.
So my point is that it'd be nice if there was a genie for that, right? Right.
Yes.
So we're going to do a little demo, but we're going to do things a little differently. Now, what we're going to show you now is how to tell each of the two types of stories that we've talked about using AI. But no, it's not ChatGPT because
Mm.
everybody thinks ChatGPT is AI, and it's not. ChatGPT is an interface with AI. So, what we're going to do, Stu, is you and I are going to do something fun. Are you a prompt engineer, Stu?
I am not.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. So here's what we're going to do. Before we do the 60 story genie, before we do the My Story Super Genie, we're going to try and write a story with ChatGPT just for fun.
Okay.
So, okay, so tell a story about the time Stu Stu failed his PT test in his first year at the U.S. Naval Academy. See, it's not so easy now, is it?
No.
Went home and his mom said, move home. His girlfriend left him. Okay, give me a couple other things from your little story.
I said I can't quit,
He said, I can't quit. Uh huh.
and we figured it out.
We figured it out. Okay. Huh. Well, that's amazing. It's going to be amazing. Stu had always been a determined and disciplined individual, dreaming of serving his country from a young age. His acceptance in the U.S. Naval Academy was a testament to his hard work and commitment. But the first year, things didn't go as planned. Holy crap.
It's not that bad so far.
No, no, it's not. A significant challenge for Stu. Believed he was prepared. Anxiety, exhaustion got the. He struggled through each segment. His confidence waned. By the end of the test, he knew he hadn't passed. News hit him like a ton of bricks. Failing the PT test felt like the end of the world. With a heavy heart, he returned home from a short break. His mother, sensing his disappointment, sat him down, leering. Stu, maybe it's time to consider moving home, she said, gently trying to comfort him. The thought of giving up on his dream was unbearable, but it was his girlfriend's reaction that stung the most. She couldn't handle the uncertainty of his future and decided to leave. Is that true?
It wasn't like that. She
Oh,
left
okay.
before that. Yeah.
Okay. He was at a crossroads. Deep down, the fire still burned. Looked at his mom and said, I can't quit. Simple but powerful, they embodied his unwavering resolve and determination. Determined to turn things around, Stu sought the help he needed. He found a mentor at the academy, he believed in him. Together, they crafted a rigorous training plan, focused on his weakness and building his strength and endurance. Day by day, grew stronger. Months. Okay, well, I mean, it's a story. It doesn't suck, but is it the story? That's the question. Is it the story?
um, not exactly. And
Okay.
something I've also noticed too when I play with the genies
Uh-huh.
is it it is really well organized when you get the output because it has a bit of sales copy built into it,
Okay.
which I have found for me very useful because I'm not good at writing sales copy.
So now let's do this. Let's use the My Story Genie, which is basically the origin story, epiphany story, hero's journey story, just real quick. Okay. So we're going to tell an inspirational story. Target audience for this is what? Young people. You tell me what to put in. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm just going to dictate it. So you
Yeah.
you say it and I'll repeat it so it'll type it in.
Let's say high school graduates.
High school graduates thinking about military service.
There you go.
Stu Smith. I failed my first PT test. Dude, you got to just tell me what to do because
I'm sorry,
I've got the.
I can't read it. So it's
Oh,
just it's too small.
I thought you had them cheaters for the old
Yeah, they're
peoples.
upstairs. They're upstairs.
Oh, okay. Because okay, when and where did this happen? Okay, so freshman year at the U.S. Naval Academy, right?
Yes.
Freshman year at the U.S. Naval Academy. All right. Next thing is give details and background. Here's what happened. Just give me the nutshell of here's what happened.
Failed first fitness test.
I failed my first fitness test.
Was failing chemistry.
Was failing chemistry.
Did not make the football team.
Did not make the football team.
And girlfriend breaks up with me.
Broke up with me.
All in the same month.
All in the same month.
Thanksgiving comes around.
Thanksgiving came around and I headed home to Florida.
And I was crying to my mom about how horrible I was doing.
I was crying to my mom about how horribly I was doing.
And she says,
my mom
come
said,
home.
Come on home and leave the academy.
I said, I can't quit.
I told her, there's no way I can quit. So tell me about the transformation. I told her there's no way I can quit. Give me a couple, 3 things. Include also about, I learned how to take the PT test. I found some, that kind of stuff. And then we'll get into the result.
Yes. I found coaching to help with the fitness test.
I found coaching at the academy to help me with the fitness test.
I found study skills to help me with chemistry.
Study skills to help me with chemistry.
And I found rugby, which replaced football.
I found rugby, which replaced football and taught me mental and physical toughness at a level I had never experienced before.
Very good. I think that's it.
And what was the result?
The result was I redirected my path to go Navy SEAL instead of Navy pilot.
I redirected my path to go Navy SEAL rather than Navy pilot.
And worked towards becoming a better special ops candidate.
Worked very hard towards becoming a special ops candidate. And was able to achieve my dream of becoming a Navy SEAL. So now the lesson learned stuff, this is where we're making that transition that we talked about, where you realize that your true passion was helping. Once you did 8 years in the Navy SEALs, you realized that your true passion was helping young people prepare to serve by sharing the physical and mental toughness lessons that you had learned.
Right.
So tell me what to say.
After 8 years of service, I realized I enjoyed being a coach.
After 8 years in service, I realized that I really enjoyed being a coach.
I coach young men and women who are preparing to serve.
Women who are preparing to serve in the armed forces and as first responders, men and this is my true calling. All right. And then the writing style, what? Like entrepreneur?
Sure.
Okay. Perspective, first person, because it's your story. Let me zoom out a little bit. Let's save this. And this is Stu's story about failing his first PT test. All right, click build. Now we'll have the Genie write your story. I'll have to do it a couple ways. At the start of my freshman year at the U.S. Naval Academy, oh crap, here we go. Okay. At the start of my freshman year at the Naval Academy, I hit rock bottom. I failed my first fitness test, struggled in chemistry. I didn't make the football team. And to top it all up, my girlfriend broke up with me. Everything seemed to be falling apart all at once. And I felt I'd hit rock bottom. Thanksgiving break rolled around. I headed home to Florida feeling defeated. I sat with my mom and just started crying, pouring out my frustrations and worries. In that moment, she offered me an out. She suggested I leave the academy and come home, but quitting was not an option for me. I knew in my heart I couldn't give up, so I made the decision to stay and fight for my place. I sought out every resource I could find to turn things around. I found coaching to help me improve my fitness, study skills to help me excel in chemistry, and I discovered the sport of rugby, which not only replaced football, but taught me mental and physical toughness, and like anything I experienced before. I even had a change of heart about my career path, redirecting my focus from Navy pilot to becoming a Navy SEAL. I put in the hard work and dedication to become a special ops candidate, and I was able to achieve my dream of becoming a Navy SEAL, but it didn't stop there. After 8 years of service, I realized that my true passion lay in coaching. I found deep fulfillment in helping and training young men and women who were preparing to serve in the armed forces and as first responders. Through my story, I learned that failure and hardships are not the end of the road. They can be the catalyst for transformation and growth. I was able to turn my setbacks into opportunities and discover my true calling. So, to all the high school graduates considering military service, I encourage you to embrace the challenges that come your way, embrace the struggle, seek out resources, and be open to redirection because sometimes the most unexpected paths lead to the most fulfilling destinations. Now, what's closer to your story? This or this? What the
Definitely,
what
definitely,
ChatGPT did
yeah.
or what the My Story did?
Definitely what um, your My Story did for sure.
And now we can have it come up with a short version. We can have it come up with clickbait hooks and with moral hooks. So from rock bottom to Navy SEAL, how one man turned setbacks into success. Now
Hmm,
tell me any kid that was thinking about going to Buds wouldn't read
damn.
that.
Yeah, that's something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
that's where like I'm horrible with titles. I'm horrible with turning this into here, check out this program that will help you. That is where I found that these genies and wizards help so much for me.
So look at it also create 5 action items. So now what we can do if we're looking to turn this into something that's a valuable piece of content that we could share, even maybe turn it, I don't know, you could turn it into basically anything. Let me it opened on my other screen. But look here.
Dang.
So there's our title, right?
Yeah.
And we'll just skip the other ones. We won't, man, we could probably break it up with those as subtitles, but
Yep.
now we got that. We're not going to worry about the short version. It gives us examples, but here, now we've turned this from a story into something that gives them action items. Okay. So, seek out mentors and resources, embrace the struggle, be open to
Ah.
redirection, stay committed to the goal, and find passion and fulfillment.
Ooh, I love that.
Okay. So now we went from a story to something with direction. You could use one of the other genies to help come up with a call to action. But
I mean,
anyway,
it's just great advice. Those little bullets at the end there. That's awesome.
but see, this is your story. This is this, and the funny thing is, Stu, the processor that ChatGPT is using is the exact same processor that this is plugged into.
Mm,
It's the exact same magical thing that's creating stuff. But because of what we do with our interface, as opposed to what they do with their interface, because we have a very specific target audience that we're trying to help, whereas ChatGPT, OpenAI with ChatGPT is trying to help everybody, which is
yeah.
great.
Yeah.
We're trying to help people who want to create content, make money, create sales copy, make money, build their list, get more leads, make more sales, build better relationships with their tribe. That's the difference.
Right.
So now we're going to tell the story of Stu's first product, okay? And see how that turns out. All right. So the character was, remember what we had over here?
Stu
Character was Stu Smith. Hell yeah.
in my basement. Set the
Stu
scene. I'm in
Smith
my
in
basement
my
office.
okay, so here we're gonna myself, Stu Smith in my basement office. All right. Background information. I'll see if I can spit it back out. Okay.
Okay.
I've been teaching people online for, oh, here we go. I've been teaching people online for a couple of years how to pass everything from buds to ranger school and the FBI Academy entrance exam. I realized there were 30 different PT tests that people had to pass for all these different academies and service branches. I also realized that I was tired of trading time for money, strictly just doing coaching. I made it my mission to start figuring out a way to sell ebooks. I busted my butt and published my first ebook in 2003. I'll never forget that morning. It was 8 o'clock, and I fired up my computer and saw that somebody I didn't know had sent me money for a downloadable file in the form of an ebook. I ran upstairs and said, I just sold an ebook. My wife looked at me and said, good job. Unfortunately, her enthusiasm didn't match the giant payoff that I knew had just happened.
It did not.
I resolved then and there to sell as many ebooks as I could, and that's been my business mission ever since. The biggest piece of advice I could give you would be to document your processes. If you know how to help people get a result, whether it's solving a problem or satisfying a desire, that could be the topic of a very profitable ebook. Now, is that basically what you said?
Yes.
Okay. So, kind of story we want to tell: inspirational, serious, funny. What do you want to do?
Let's try funny.
Okay. First person, yours, because it's you.
Yep.
The avatar is who are we? Who's our ideal customer for this? Entrepreneur? For our coach?
Yeah, I would say people with a side gig.
Okay.
So
people with a side gig.
Struggling entrepreneurs. Yeah, people with a side gig.
Make money while you sleep by selling ebooks. Stu's story of selling his first book. Struggling entrepreneurs. People with a side gig. Make money while you sleep by selling ebooks or other downloadable products. All right. So now we're going to tell your 6C story. And we'll do it also targeting your avatar specifically. Holy crap.
That's quick.
No, look what it did on the front. I can't believe it's been almost 20 years since that fateful morning when I sold my first ebook. It did math, Stu.
Wow.
You didn't say anything about that. You just said published my first ebook in 2003. It's a nice hook. It was a real game changer for me, and it all started right there in my trusty old basement office. Let me introduce myself. I'm Stu Smith, and I've been in the business of coaching and teaching people online for quite a while now. I specialize in helping folks pass grueling physical fitness tests, everything from buds to ranger school and the FBI Academy entrance exam. It's been a wild ride, that's for sure. One day, while I was sitting at my desk in my basement office, I had a light bulb moment. I realized that there were a whopping 30 different PT tests that folks had to pass for all these different academies and service branches. And you know what? I was tired of trading time for money just doing coaching. I wanted to reach more people and help them achieve their fitness goals. That's when it hit me. I needed to start selling ebooks. So I rolled up my sleeves, busted my butt, and in 2003, I published my very first ebook. I'll never forget that morning. It was 8 o'clock and I fired up my computer. Lo and behold, there it was, an email notification. Somebody I didn't know had sent me money for a downloadable file in the form of an ebook. I couldn't contain my excitement. I ran upstairs and burst in the kitchen complaining, I just sold a book. My wife looked at me, a bemused expression on her face. I could see Denise doing that,
Yep.
and said, good job. Unfortunately, her enthusiasm didn't quite match the giant payoff I knew had happened. But you know what? That first sale lit a fire under me. I resolved then and there to sell as many ebooks as I could, and that's been my business mission ever since. It's been a roller coaster of a journey filled with ups and downs, but I wouldn't have it any other way. Now, here's one big piece of advice I could give you. It's this: document your processes. If you know how to help people get a result, whether it's solving a problem or satisfying a desire, that could be the topic of a very profitable ebook. And hey, if I can do it, so can you. Dude, is
Nice.
that your story?
Yeah, I love it.
Okay. So let's see what it says at the end, targeting the that's a ton of bricks, blah blah blah. Bursting piece of the occupation process. Okay, but here's the other thing. Now it'll create a short version. It'll do our clickbait. It'll do our moral hooks. So here's a short. Remember, I said your story can be like an accordion. So let's look at the short version. Almost 20 years ago, I made a groundbreaking decision to start selling ebooks from my basement office. I specialize in coaching and teaching people to pass difficult physical fitness tests, and I realized that creating ebooks would allow me to reach more people. When I made my first sale in 2003, it was a transformative moment that ignited a passion in me to sell as many ebooks as possible so I could help as many people as possible. Through all the ups and downs, my advice to others is to document your processes and share your knowledge through ebooks, because if I can do it, so can you. Is that the same story, just shorter?
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's the thing. Here's the funny thing, dude. This story gives you the credibility to tell this story. What do I mean by that? Meaning the my story, if you think about it like this, and I've got a point here, okay? This story answers why you. Why are you the one who should be teaching this to me? And then this story, so this establishes the credibility overall. It's like the foundational story of everything. And then the individual stories are the bricks that you use to build your business, to build your sales copy, to build your blog posts, to build your interviews, to build all that stuff. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So all of these stories rest on top of the foundational stories. Now, the funny thing is that you can tell this story differently to different audiences, but it's still that baseline story. Anyway.
Hey, I have a question for you, Jim. What's the
Sure.
difference with the epiphany story? If you were to use the epiphany
Well,
version.
the epiphany is basically down here, okay, where I wrote let me zoom in so you can see this, okay? In fact, I'll just take up the whole screen real quick so you can see. Right here, and kind of in this area, okay? This is considered rock bottom. This is the rock bottom. This is Stu sitting on his mom's couch. And mom's like, it's okay, honey. You can come home and go to community college and mama will feed you and it'll be okay. But you're in Florida where the water table's real high. So you couldn't even live in your mom's basement, could you? At this point, sorry,
Mm-hmm.
something happens. There's a turning point that's caused by a decision, by a discovery, by the appearance of an advisor, but or there's a realization which is often referred to as an epiphany. In that moment, it hit me like a ton of bricks. That's usually there's an epiphany coming. There's the light bulb moment.
Yep.
Okay. And so the light bulb moment can come from a decision, a discovery, which a decision is internal, a discovery is external, an appearance is external, and then a realization that's internal. So something happens inside or outside that turns everything around. And then it starts that upward spiral. Usually there's a whole bunch of action that has to take place.
Right.
So they call it an epiphany because if it's an epiphany story, then it's what happens here at this point is there's an epiphany. Um, with you, it was a decision.
Right.
I decided in that moment, I stopped screwing around and decided, okay, if I'm going to do this, I got to do it. I
Yeah.
can't skate by on my good looks and my powerlifting skills from high school.
And I'll say that that first ebook sale was also a bit of an epiphany, and a motivator to like this. I can do this. Yeah.
If I could sell one, I can sell more than one.
Yes.
And then it don't take long for those liberal arts students to be able to figure out math. Because if I can sell 10 of these,
Yeah.
I'll be so glad when I'm done with this. Um, if I could sell 10 of these, that's 290 days, $290. And if I could do that 7 days a week, that's $2,100 a week. That's like $9,000 a month. That's like $100,000 a year almost. Holy crap, I'm going to get rich.
Yeah. I remember that one turned into I was really excited to starting to tell the job that I was doing
Uh-huh.
it's time for me to go
Uh-huh.
because I was making a whole $100 a day in ebook sales.
But how many hours a day were you working at that
Very
versus
little.
working at the
Yeah.
job? Right.
Very little. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what happened with me with the real estate agent that I was doing consulting work for that was paying me 25 bucks. And she was basically paying me $100 a day to work for her in the afternoon. And once I got my, I started making, over the summer, but then, that fall of 2001, I made more money from September to December than I had made the previous 4 years combined. And I got up, I
Damn.
was still making, I was making $10,000 a month and more, and then a bunch more. But I kept working for her for another year because it gave me structure.
Yeah.
B, she was begging me, please don't leave me. And C, I couldn't let go of the side of the pool.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
there's some stability in that as well, and that's the hard break, when you make that decision to I'm going full time me,
yeah,
you know, and then 25 years I am certifiably unemployable.
that, yeah, I wouldn't hire me. That guy's a jerk. Um, but let's bring it back around. Okay.
Yes.
So here's the deal. I'm preaching to the choir here as far as using the genies and stuff. But I wanted you, and I'm going to start doing that a little bit more, show the difference between using ChatGPT versus using the genies. Okay.
I think it's a great idea.
And understand that in sales, content marketing, and everything that we're doing, even if what the genies did was only like 2 degrees better, 2 degrees out over time is the difference between making it to Hawaii or getting marooned in North Korea. And also, if it helps it to be more yours, it's like Stu said, hey, that's not a bad story,
Hmm.
but that's not how it went.
Right.
Okay, well then that's not a bad story, but it's not very useful. And the third point is speed. You could sit there and start feeding in more details and other stuff and try and wrestle that greased water buffalo of ChatGPT into submission, or you just use a Genie and have it give you what you need, and you do an edit, and you're on
Yeah.
off to
The
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 races.
prompts are the key. I mean, those prompts just guide you logically through the process. That also spurs creativity in your own head. Because I'm like, oh, I didn't think about that angle. Yeah, let me do this. Yeah.
Here's something that I said something on the master class yesterday. I'm going to keep messing with this, but what this does is the genies give you the ability as if you had the skill. In
Mm,
other words, this gives you the ability to be able to create a great story without having to develop the skill of being able to write out a really good story. So now you can just focus on getting your story, making it good, and rolling on down the trail with it.
nice.
So, um, Carlin said, making it yours is critical for the future as most everything becomes AI generated. Sure. If it doesn't have your soul in it, it don't count. And the S in soul stands for stories. So, all right. Well, Susan, did we have any questions or anything we need to hit? Nope. Okay. A couple of comments that came in. Brad says, great to see the two of you put these together. It's so much easier for me to recreate the process when I can walk through several examples. Hey, that was kind of cool how I had you tell the stories from your own perspective, and then we took them and plugged them into the Genie, and it came out with a story that even had a little bit, it was even just a little cooler.
And better than I was verbalizing it.
I didn't want to say that.
You know what? No, it was. It's a fact.
Um, Vicky says, I'll use the My Story Genie to write a script for my first video podcast. I tell a story about a dream and tie it into life and spiritual epiphanies. Thanks for these amazing tools and inspiration. I'm recording today. That's awesome, Vicky. Good for you. All right. Well, I think our work here is done, Stu.
Yes, sir.
I
I think
appreciate
it
you, man.
is.
Okay. Well, as always, if you are a subscriber to copyandcontent.ai, go use these tools. If you are not a subscriber to copyandcontent.ai, you should be. And I invite you to go over to copyandcontent.ai, sign up, join us. If you think the free stuff's good, you should see the stuff people are getting that they pay for. So, everybody have a great day. We'll talk to you soon. Bye bye, everybody.